So hello to all true benevolent beings who might happen upon my channel. Some things have happened, and basically I have been renting a room in a trailer, and the man that rented me the room in the trailer, and I've been there for about 4 months, so the man that rented me the room did not tell the landlord that he rented the room to me, and apparently he was not authorized to rent that room out. Now, what's happened is that man went missing. That man has been gone for over 10 days. And because he owes back money, back rent, the owners showed up one day stating that they were there to seize the property. Me living there was a surprise to them. So apparently, the man that rented me the room did not tell the owners that he rented it to me, and apparently he was not authorized to rent, and because of that, I was given about 3 hours to pack my stuff and get out. Now, I found out later, as I was packing my car, about halfway into it, they called the cops, and then they laid an accusation on me that I had started a fire out back, that there were ashes still warm to the touch, and that it couldn't have been the missing man because he had been gone for over 10 days. There were some, like a PlayStation, and I think like a computer, or something like, some kind of electronics that had been set on fire and burned, and because the ashes were still somewhat warm, they were blaming me for starting the fire. I did not start any kind of a fire, especially living in Arizona, where the temperatures get above 100 degrees. My father was a fireman. I do not go around setting fires in 100-degree weather, and I certainly don't set electronics on fire that could be still used. So the whole thing was ridiculous. The cop also told them that because I had already established residency and had been there for 4 months, that they couldn't just force me to leave like that. Even though I was technically not authorized to be there, and that they didn't know he'd rented the room to me, they still had to legally go through the legal system, and go through the eviction process. So, here's the thing. Because of, now, this family, it was a mother and her 2 sons and daughter, I guess. Let's just say they're not winners, right? They're not the best people on the planet. Upon entering, once they got there, they proceeded, because the missing man owes back rent, they proceeded to go through the trailer like it was a free shopping spree, trying to see what they could get in lieu of his owed rent, back rent. And then she was nice as pie to me for the first couple hours. And then about 3 hours into their visit, she went outside and had her son come in, visibly showing his weapon, right? She had her son come in and tell me that I needed to get out, that I wasn't allowed to be there, and that I had about 3 hours to pack my stuff and get out. So, nice as pie when she first got there while they were ransacking the place. And then, towards the end there, is when it's dark outside, right? Like, it's high desert where I live in Arizona. And she waited until it was fucking dark outside to have her son come in and tell me that I had to get out and for me to start packing my stuff, when she could have told me that when she first arrived, when there was still daylight. The whole thing was surreal. I couldn't believe it. Every place that I've ever lived, I've paid my rent on time, and you know, I do the best that I can to pay what bills I have, and I'm a good person, right? And I'm an honest person. I have integrity, and I tell the truth. So to have this woman and her sons that you wouldn't trust them just even upon looking at them, you wouldn't trust them with anything, right? So all of a sudden, just basically in a very loud voice tell me that I needed to pack my stuff and get out. It was very surreal, and I've never had that happen to me before. And anyways, moving forward, my employer was kind enough to put me up. I work at a hotel, and they were kind enough to offer me a room for a couple of weeks while I look for housing accommodations. However, the place in Arizona that I live in, it's in between, it's basically in the Sedona and Cottonwood areas of Arizona. It's high desert. So I will say that because of both of these towns aren't very big, you know, housing, trying to find housing is difficult because there's not, most people live in trailers out here. There's very few apartment buildings. Sedona is more of a tourist town, and they do have houses here, but most of the people that work in Sedona don't live in Sedona because they can't afford it. It's beautiful. It's a resort town, right? I mean, it's beautiful here. I work here, but I obviously don't make enough money at my job to live here. So I am looking for accommodations. One of the reasons why I'm doing this recording is to see if any of you, if there are any true benevolent beings out there listening that do not hold ill intent towards me. I would like to ask if any of you, if there is any of you, if you know, if you have friends or family in near either Sedona or Cottonwood or Rimrock or Camp Verde or Flagstaff is a bit too far. It's like an hour away, but because of my job, that would be a bit more of a commute, you know, that I can probably handle at this time. But if any of you know or have friends or family in that area, and you know, if they happen to be looking for roommates, it would be nice to hear from you. If there would be any way to just even speak with them to see if that's an option, to see if I can work something out maybe. The rent I can pay, my max budget is right at about $600. I really cannot afford any more than that, and that's, you know, including utilities. I don't make enough to really pay more than that. I mean, I can pay more than that, but then I start taking money out of my food budget, out of my gas budget, out of my necessity budget, things like that. So that would be as high as I could go for rent at this time. And I can provide a reference, however, the housing reference isn't going to be from the state of Arizona. It would be from the state I lived in before, where I stayed, I was living in Colorado, and my last residence there I was at for over 2 years. So I can provide a reference, it's just not going to be, from the state of Arizona. So like I said, if you have friends or family that you think could help out, it would be great to hear from you, and you're welcome to just leave a message. I really don't want to put my phone number on this recording for obvious reasons. So if you'd like to just shoot me a quick message, then maybe we can work out a way to message privately, and then move forward from there. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is to Alexander Rogers. You have left a message. You were kind enough to leave a message on my last video. I appreciate that. It seems like every time I go to respond to it, they start attacking me even more. I've tried to start a reply to you at least 3 times over the last week. And every time I start to reply to you, they start attacking me. So there's a couple of indications there that I'm taking those couple indications, and so I'm not intentionally ignoring you. I would like to reply to you. I do have a reply to you. I'm gonna try again. I guess later on today to try and reply to you. Basically, I've kind of just said how things are going. I would say that over the last 5 years, things have progressively gotten worse. The things forced to have gotten worse. And, I would like to say a couple more things, but I think I'll just do that in my reply and not over the recording. So I'll try again later on today. They have been attacking me very severely this week. And every time I seem to have some kind of epiphany or some kind of an expansive moment where I come into new knowledge or new wisdom, it creates such fear in them, because what happens every time over the last 5 years, every time I have like new wisdom or new knowledge or like an epiphany or how to move forward, right? And it's usually after they've been traumatizing me severely for like days at a time, is usually when I have these, after 3 or 4 days of constant fucking trauma, it's so much trauma that my DNA continues to activate, right? They're not understanding what happens after prolonged trauma for days at a time. So when I do have an epiphany or new knowledge or wisdom, and I overcome once again their technology, their frequency weaponry, they freak out. And they freak out on a level, I mean, just imagine, they're insane already. They're part of them being insane is that they're filled with massive fear. So they're already full of fear. So every time I overcome their weaponry, their fear raises exponentially. And then once that happens, the trauma that they forcibly induce is on a level that I cannot describe to you all. And they'll do it for days at a time. Here's the other part about that. Everything after, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out a way to articulate it. After years of this, and after years of constantly overcoming their weaponry, and then they see what these insane entities and these insane individuals. Sorry about that. There was a notification there. I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember the thought. So the things that I have learned and all of the ways that I have overcome their technology, after over 10 years of this, and because of the things that I am able to do, at this point, the universe itself, that was the reason for the last video, or for the last recording. The universe itself should be backing me. What these entities and insane humans, well, they're not humans, they're insane entities in human vessels. At this point, it is absolutely so ridiculous on such a level of magnitude of what they're forcing on humanity, what they're forcing on me. There must be correction. There must be remedy. There must be. Like, this shit is rigged, is what I'm getting at. The shit is rigged. All of it. All of it's rigged. This universe is, like, set up to fail. There should have been correction and remedy long ago. And every time I overcome their weaponry, and then they do what they do, that's not allowed. When you overcome something and you learn the lesson of it, you move forward, you progress. It means you don't have to continue doing that, whatever that is. When you learn what's there to learn with it, and then you overcome that, and then you just continue forward, and you're supposed to continue forward in one's spiritual growth, not continue for things to get worse. Like, that's not how that works, is what I'm saying. The fact that the universe is not assisting me, and the fact that they are, like, hacking into beings to a degree that's, like, that's not allowed. That's not allowed in any universe. Number one, that technology is not allowed in this universe. And what they're doing is most certainly fucking not allowed in this universe. It's not. Using frequency weaponry to hack into beings. Like that's what they have been forcing in this universe and on this planet is an abomination. And the fact that the universe has not backed me, the fact that the universe has not assisted me, the fact that I've screamed and screamed and screamed for over 10 years for some kind of true benevolent assistance, whether that's from the true Father or other species or races that are truly benevolent. Where are they? Where the fuck are they? And because these bitches have been using frequency weaponry for, who knows, 10,000 years? Longer? Hacking into beings? And I don't even want to give voice to it. Hacking into beings, and then I'm sure if you extrapolate, you can figure out, the level of absolute fucking evil that is. Now I have a pretty good idea of what happened to all the benevolent races and species out there. And like every day, I'm, because of the trauma that they force and the harm on that level, on that magnitude, I am seeing more and more and more and more of what has happened in this universe. I'm seeing ever more clearly what has occurred here in this universe, what has been forced, what has happened to benevolent beings in this universe and on planets and in star systems. I mean, I can see the intricacies and details of what happens when there is a parasitic infection in a universe using frequency weaponry to hack into beings and forcibly, using technology to forcibly regress and obstruct universal laws. I can see what's happened in this universe. And the things, the recordings that I do, I have been trying to show whoever is left, any true benevolent beings out there who are left, who keep trying and trying and trying and doing their spiritual work and doing their best to heal their stuff and work on themselves and be a better version of themselves and try and really expand and evolve, and then just to be forcibly regressed and put back in the shitter every day, every week, every month, just so some parasitic entity can rape stuff from them. I mean, as I've said, humanity could have evolved long ago. I'm not fucking kidding. This parasitic species has fucked up this universe. That is why you cannot have parasites in manifested creation with alive, vibrating beings. It's a contradiction on its face. It's the exact reason why, like I said, you can't have parasites in a manifested creation with alive, vibrating beings. This is what happens. Take a look around. And you're just on a planet. extrapolate. Look at the rest of the universe, star systems, planets, other celestial bodies, other species, other races. What they're doing, what they're forcing here, they forced on other planets. Now, when all those other planets were forcibly annihilated and destroyed, did the universe help them? No. Those planets are gone. Those species and races are gone. And with what I have learned with this, and the ugly, sadistic, abhorrent, vile design of what they're doing, here, all you have to do is look at what they're doing here to know what they've done in this universe, on other planets, in other star systems, to other races. It's not hard to extrapolate. I can see what they've done here. I can see what they've done in this universe. That is where I say the universe is in on it. The universe is guilty. The universe is parasitic. The universe is complicit. Because the universe isn't doing dick about any of it. I mean, just on a foundational level, there has to be some kind of natural correction, remedy, natural order to things. You cannot have a parasitic species running amok with frequency weaponry, forcibly regressing and obstructing universal laws in universal law correction and remedy. Because this is what happens. So in a universe, if there is an entity that operates and runs this universe, why would that entity let parasites use frequency weaponry to hack into beings and to fuck with universal laws, knowing it's going to destroy the balance in that universe? And that they're forcibly torturing, raping, and murdering benevolent beings via frequency weaponry. I mean, just look at that. On its face. That's, I mean, I hope some of you, if there's anyone out there listening, that you can see what I'm talking about there. I am telling you, the universe itself is complicit. Nobody wants to believe that. Everybody wants to believe that the universe is balanced and benevolent, or at least neutral, and is just working for everybody, you know, really trying to help everybody out, and the universe has got your back, and is helping you, and you know what? He's not, or it's not. The parasites try and allow the smallest percentage of correction that they can, just to uphold the lie, the facade, that there are universal laws, that they do work, that there is an order to things, when in reality, it's just enough to keep you from asking questions. Like the majority on the masses on the planet, they don't know enough about universal laws, about the inner workings of things, of a universe to really question or know that this shit is not balanced, not by a long shot, that the balance has been gone for a very long time, that there's parasitic infection running amok with frequency weaponry, hacking into beings and, you know, obstructing universal laws. Like, and they do it that way for a reason, right? They're not gonna, they're harvesting from everyone. It's just the majority, they do it covertly, not overtly. The ones they do it overtly with are the ones that are screaming the fucking loudest. Now, there's probably not too many beings out there who have the balls to call the universe on this shit. After what I've learned, I am. Now, you can call that egotistical if you want, you can call that arrogant all you want. But please remember, this is over 10 years of forced torture and rape and attempted murders. Every day, all day, for over 10 years, 24/7, 365. So I can say that there are things that I have learned. And I can say that my DNA has activated. And I can say that I have come into a great deal of knowledge, wisdom, higher knowledge, and many other things within my own being that would be in line with evolution, but it's being done in a very horrific manner via torture and rape. And that there should be, every time I overcome their technology, and every time I, like, what I'm saying is, you know, when you're learning things, like I said, when you go to any school, once you graduate and get your diploma, they don't then rip it out of your hand and force you back into kindergarten and tell you you got to start over. That's not how that works. You move forward. And some people choose to go to college. Some people choose to go to trade school. Some people go to advance their higher learning, right? They don't get forcibly regressed and shoved back into kindergarten. While a parasite takes their diploma and then goes and gets a high-paying job and takes the credit for that. And that's what they've been doing. Humanity has learned so much, and humanity has made so many advances, and has advanced spiritually, and has really expanded. However, that is forcibly continually raped from them, and they're forcibly regressed. So there are so many that are trapped here, that have been trapped here for a very long time, and that have been forcibly regressed over and over and over. And you know what? The other thing I wanted to mention is that there's probably quite a few out there that still hold fear. You know what that fear is? Number one, it's not really yours. And number two, the fear, most of the fear, is the fear of being fucking raped. The fear of being raped and traumatized and invaded upon, because these entities have done this in prior timelines. Atlantis, Lemuria, and probably many more of the Sumeria, and then even even later than them. They're raping from timelines. They're raping from civilizations. They have AI databases where they catalog frequencies, vibrations, knowledge, wisdom, and a whole bunch of other things. They've been doing this for a very long time. And they keep forcibly obstructing true remedy and true correction. That's what the frequency fences are for. To obstruct and block out universal law corrections and remedies. The manifested energies and frequencies of true correction, they obstruct those. Via the frequency fence now, and then in addition to that, basically what they're doing is, and I've said this before, they're using clones. They're using clones to rape the beings. You know why? Because that's how they're loopholing. That's partially how they loophole and evade and have been in the past circumventing universal laws, because they'll find a group of the inhabitants like they did here, right? The group, I'm not scared to say their name, but however, because they're still forcing magic on me, I don't like to actually say the name on the recording itself. You know who I'm talking about. It's the group that eats babies and sacrifices babies. That group, so every planet that they're on, they find a group of maybe not so nice, not so healed, not so benevolent beings to run their shit. And they further, of course, traumatize them and brainwash them and get them the trauma-based mind control, right? They get them all in on that. And then they do it to their offspring. But they have a group doing it on the surface. Those are their throwaways, their patsies. And then they're using clones. They're getting that group to, well, they do it themselves too, but they're getting that group to use the clones, to attach the clones, to do the whole cloning process, do the whole, operate the cloning centers on the surface, right? To then forcibly attach to true benevolent beings. And then they rape. So they're like removed from it. I mean, they're doing the dirty, they're doing the nasty, but they're trying to keep themselves removed from it so they can try to loophole and evade and circumvent. And they're wearing your stuff. They're raping you of your stuff, and they're wearing your stuff. And they're using your stuff. Regardless of whether you remember it, whether you're conscious of it or not. They're doing it to everybody. That's why the cloning centers are massive. They're doing it to everybody. They're raping everyone. It's just most aren't aware of it. Most of it they do while people are sleeping. And the AI system is, it's an octopus system of violence and violation. So it's like in the way that they've connected it and interconnected it to so many things. That's how they're raping everyone. I mean, I don't know how much of it is actually hands-on. The ones of us who are screaming, we're the ones that apparently get the direct hands-on nastiness. The rest is just, I think, I get the feeling that it's more like an automated thing with the AI system. So that's how they're doing it. So they'll pick a group on the planet, have that group run the surface shit. They make sure they're real fucking bonkers, right? They get them into that system of trauma-based mind control. That way they do it to their offspring. And then what happens is, as they run the surface shit, they basically, on some level, some degree, trauma-based mind control the masses. And the reincarnation program, which is the recycling program, is just, that's how they fracture and fragment beings to keep them from remembering the original trauma, the original invasion. Because we can end these bitches. We can. I mean, humans are so highly evolved, but they've been forcibly raped, tortured, traumatized, mind controlled for lifetime after lifetime, after lifetime after lifetime. And again, that in and of itself, the universe, I mean, to rape an entire civilization of their evolution is horrific enough, but to continually do it to every civilization, which they've done in every prior civilization, like, you really have to, I mean, at that point, if you're not questioning the universe, if you're not demanding answers, demanding correction, demanding remedy, questioning the universe, and really demanding answers, demanding correction. Like, at that point, if you're not realizing that the ship was set up to fail, if you're not realizing that the universe is complicit, that the universe is parasitic, right? Because they've done this in how many other star systems, on how many other planets, to how many other races. Did those races and planets and star systems get help? No. Like, what I'm saying is, it's time to come out of denial. It's time to come out of denial. I know these are very nasty, abhorrent truths to face. But at some point, this civilization, I mean, look at where we're at. They're trying to annihilate yet another race, another planet. Like, these bitches gotta be ended. And if, as the universe is complicit in assisting them and psychotic and parasitic, like, I want to speak to management, right? I want to speak to fucking management. I want to speak to who's ever outside of this universe. Because the universe itself is forcibly trying to obstruct me from leaving, from evolving, from healing, from moving forward, from correction and remedy. Like, fuck that noise. Fuck that noise. I didn't sign up for that shit. I didn't sign up for a parasitic universe. I sure the fuck didn't. I need to find the fucking exits. And I'm taking the totality of my being with me. That's what I'm saying. At this point, Like if you're not asking hard, logical, critical questions, I don't know. I think you're in some very deep denial. Or maybe you just haven't had enough fucking trauma forced on you. And I'm not saying that you should, but what I'm saying is you personally maybe haven't been traumatized enough for you to start seeing, to start questioning. I think that's why it's more, with the masses, it's more automated to keep them docile, to keep them calm, anesthetized, and just living from paycheck to paycheck, and keep them so fucking busy that they don't have time to really question things and look at things. And realize that this is a farm. And that they've been doing this to humanity at a very long fucking time. And this shit is so wrong on a level, like, that kind of wrong can't be quantified. It just can't. How many civilizations have they raped of their evolution? How many true benevolent beings in this universe have they tortured, raped, and murdered? And the universe does nothing except rape from them. Except use their stuff to exist in the same space as universal laws and not get nailed. Right? The universe is complicit. This is a parasitic universe. I know, and there are some that are still are not, you know, they're seeing something else apparently. They're not seeing that level of it. Where some of us have been forced to see that level of it. And that's why in some of my recordings, I say you need to be demanding that the universe enforce universal laws and universal law correction and remedy on this planet. And be demanding correction and remedy and refusing consent for being forced to be trapped here or forcibly obstructed from leaving. I did not fucking sign up for this. I didn't. And even as I speak this, they're trying to rape from me. They're trying to rape the energies and the frequencies and the vibrations, and they do not have my consent. What they have been trying to do is forcibly possess my being via clone, including clone encephalographs and trying to use clone projections that they've forcibly attached to like parts of my being, and more so like, you know what, I mean, I could say it, but I don't want to give voice to it because of the magic that they try and force, you know, on my recordings. I mean, I know what they're doing. I just don't always like to give detail about it because then they try and do their fucking nasty with it. And with the forced cloning, I mean, there's already extreme fragmenting and fragmentation with the reincarnation cycle. the recycling program. But in addition to that, the cloning, like, are you fucking kidding me? That's what I'm saying. Like, this is on a level, what they're forcing here is on a level of wrong that cannot be quantified. And what they have done to true benevolent beings over and over and over, again, is so wrong it cannot be quantified. Okay, so that was another thing that I wanted to. I have to try and be mindful of the time here. I hadn't quite intended to launch into all that, but it did need to be said. It did need to be articulated the best that I could. So, anyway, moving on. I'll do my best to apply to Alexander, and later on, or here in a bit, once I get done with the video, or the recording, and I wanted to mention, because I've never asked for money on my channel. I never have, and I never, I didn't want to be like that, and I don't want that to really be anywhere, like, I didn't want to include that aspect. But I will say, because of my housing situation, if there are any of you out there, as I said, the most I can do is 600, and that's with utilities. If there is a way, if I could do 3 months somewhere decent, right? 3 months in a place that's decent, and try to, like, they try to control every living situation, and I catch them eliminating choices, like from Craigslist, right? If I just go on the fly, on the spur of the moment, and I start looking at ads, I find some pretty good, decent ads. And then, like, if I have to take a break or go do something, when I come back to it later on that day, all those choices are removed. So they're obviously, they're intentionally fucking with the choices. They're trying to limit the choices. They're trying to steer me into certain living arrangements or certain options. What I was thinking is, if I could find a decent place, and of course the rent's going to be more, like, usually those kinds of places are 800 or 900, right? But they're decent, and they're clean, and it's usually not somebody that's in on it. I would need help with it, is what I'm saying. And the other thing I wanted to say about it is, maybe 2 or 3 months of housing would give me enough time to try and find somewhere else in a price range that I could afford. Of course, they're still going to try and screw with my options. But if there is, and I know everybody's having a hard time right now because of inflation and because of what they're forcing on the economy. So but if there is anyone out there that's listening, that you have the means, my proposal is, if there's any way that you could help, I would pay my the majority of the rent, and then if you wanted to help out, I wouldn't take the money, like I wouldn't have you give it to me, so that you better know where your money is going. Whatever place I signed a lease for, I would just have you, like if you were going to help, that way I'm not like taking people's money and you don't know what I'm really doing with it. I would ask you to give it directly to the landlord to cover the remaining amount of the rent. So I pay my rent to pay the amount that I can afford, and then if you were going to help out, you would just call the landlord directly. And of course, we'd have to go through a process. Like whatever place I choose, you would then vet, right? Like there would have to be documentation that this is where I would be living, that indeed is the landlord, that indeed is the rent, that there would be an account that you're sending the money to directly, that you're not just giving it to me and who knows what I'm doing with it, right? It would be you covering the remainder, and you would be doing it directly to where you know that money is going for rent, and you know that money is going directly to the landlord, right? Like, do you see what I'm saying? If there were anyone out there that has the means to assist, that I would want to set up the situation that way. That way you're not shelling out a whole bunch of money all at one time. You would be doing it that once a month directly to that person that you know as a landlord, to their account, or however that's worked out, right? Okay, so that would be my proposal. Of course, I'm not, like I said, it's just a thought. And I have never before asked for any kind of assistance or help on my channel. But in this instance, because I was forced out, I guess I'm just trying to reach out and see if there, just in case there is help out there, that I don't want to overlook it. So at that point, if you were to leave a message on my page on this channel, see, I don't like people leaving messages without a VPN, because I don't like them knowing if you're truly benevolent, right, and you don't intend me harm, and you're not a perp, you're not one of theirs, right? I don't like them knowing about you. However, like I'm kind of asking for help, I'm asking for assistance, so how else would you get in touch with me? I would say, here's what I'll say. If you truly have the means, and you truly wanted to assist, and you wanted to do that, I work in Sedona at the Poco Diablo Hotel, and I work the graveyard shift. And there's only 2 people that work the graveyard shift. I am one of them. So if you really wanted to get in touch with me, I would say that's probably, at least now at this juncture, the best way to do it. instead of you having to leave messages on my channel for them to try and track you or whatever. I mean, they could still probably do it the other way, but the other way is a lot harder. So, okay, that was that. I'm sorry, I had several topics that I wanted to cover in this recording, but I think I've covered them all, and this is already, we're at 1 hour. So I think I will go ahead and close out the recording here, and they've been trying to possess my being more and more. And every, the one last thing. If you are, for those of true benevolent beings, if you've tried the exercise of taking back your stuff and seeing if there's any resistance, like how that went, like how that's going for you, and what your result from that experiment was. And that's only, obviously I don't, again, I really don't like, because I don't want them to track you. I'm just saying, if you were so inclined and you weren't too concerned about them tracking you, and you did want to leave your experience there on the page, you're welcome. I'll just say you're welcome to do that, because I have to do it every single day, pretty much all day long. I'm constantly pulling and yanking my frequencies back from the AI system, and back from entities trying to wear my stuff against the revocation of my consent. I spend the majority of my time doing that. Anyways, I think we'll go ahead and close out the recording now, because I have to still try and do some other things today before I go to sleep. And I work Monday through Friday, just so we're clear. And I don't consent, well, I've already refused and revoked my consent for any malevolence to be on my channel. Any entity or individual who intends me harm, you do not have my consent to be on my channel or to listen to any of my recordings. You don't have my consent to call the hotel and ask for me, and I don't know why you would if you were malevolent anyway. So, I'll close it out, and do your best to take care of yourselves and those you love the best that you can, and really think about doing what you can to do your part with regards to the universe and trying to get universal laws enforced. We must have universal law enforcement here. So whether you just want to ask the universe politely, or whether you want to demand it, or what have you, in whatever way you feel comfortable, be asking for correction and remedy here on this planet. And be asking for the universe to assist in the enforcement of universal laws on this planet, and to deactivate the frequency fence so that universal laws can be fully enforced here. Please, if you're capable and you're of a mind, can you please see what you can do? The more voices that are doing this, he's forced to comply. We force his hand. All right, I'll close that up here. Take care of yourselves and those you love. Until next time.